Okie dokie. So, welcome to Speak with Dilys. It's on. It's happening live tonight. It's 8 o'clock or a minute past 8. So, guys, good evening. I will not say I'm going to wait for people to jump on because you're going to jump on anyways. So, good evening. My name is Dilys. For those of you that don't know, and for those of you who are going to be catching me on the replay, my name is Dilys. I am your hostess with the mostest tonight. Hi, Sazzy. Thank you for being on here. I don't recognize your name. So if you're watching for the first time, welcome. I will be introducing myself in a second so that for those of you that don't know me, will get to know me. Hi, I'm Doreen. I know you, you know me. So thank you for being on here. As you join, would you mind just hitting the share button so that we can have a wider conversation? Hi, Christabel. Lovely to have you on here. Hi, Anita. How are you doing? So yes, guys, lovely to have you on here. How are you all feeling? Yes, let's just get this party started. Good to see you guys. Let me know how you're feeling in the comments box. Hello, Sazzy. I love your name. It sounds pretty cool. So guys, yes, welcome, Monica. Lovely to have you on here. Guys, as you join, do share. This is definitely worth sharing. Hi, Nikki, my brother who is watching from South Africa says, I'm watching this, so hurry up before I go. Well, there's a whole hour, so guys, you know, I suggest that you get yourself a drink, find somewhere really comfortable in your house. If you are married, I would suggest that you do watch this with your spouse, or if you're thinking of getting married, watch it with the person that you are with if you can, because there's a lot of stuff that I've been sharing on here that by virtue of what the different topics are and the different elements of what we've been speaking about may make it a bit difficult to be able to discuss with your spouse. But you see your girl here, ain't nothing off limits, you know. If it needs saying, it's going to get said. So let me greet some of you. So Rashida Conte Kamara, thank you for being on here. Lovely to have you on here. Lynette Douglas as well. Marvin Brown, but wow, Mr. Marvelous, you all right? And Lavender, thank you for being on here as well. And who else is joining? Monica Martini says, share to my group, live the life you love. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Good evening, good evening, good evening. And as you join, please do invite somebody because this is going to be a wonderful conversation. Patrick Wisdom, thank you for being on here. I have to say, I am seeing a lot of Sierra Leoneans on my page from a lot of you have liked my page over the last 2 weeks. I don't know what's in the happen. Yeah, I tell you what, thank you, so I don't like me page, oh. Me not to salon titi, but I sabi how for talk the crew. Good one. So if you na possibly come out na salon, I'm glad they don't follow me. I tell God thank you. I tell God thank you for your life. God bless you. So that's my little Creole I've just dropped in there. Yes, so though my name is Sierra Leonean, I'm not Sierra Leonean. My late husband was from Sierra Leone, so hence the name Silla. So respect to all the Sierra Leoneans in the house. Oh, I love you so much too. Thank you so much. So Marie, thank you for being on here. And Faye as well, and Enam. Thank you, my darling. And Anne Anike, thank you so much. Efwaduka, my faithful sweetheart. And Yvonne as well. So guys, good evening, good evening, good evening. It's great to have you on here, as usual. I'm going to have a drink of water, actually, because I am so thirsty. I haven't done any shopping, so this is what I'm drinking. Normally, I've got my fizzy water, but this will have to do. Right. Okay, so good evening, good people. Lovely to have you on here. Welcome to the Speak with Dilys show. So I'm going to introduce myself because people watch this on the replay and I've seen some new names on here as well. My name is Dilys. I put together Speak with Dilys because I felt that there were conversations that we needed to have that we weren't having. But I wanted to have conversations or create a space that was safe, that was respectful, that would allow people to be able to feel free and, you know, express themselves, and for us to talk about things, as I said, that aren't often spoken about in a way that is also non-judgmental. Because a lot of times there's things that we want to speak about. Either we don't have the knowledge or we're just ignorant of how maybe the other half lives. And in a time where there is so much political correctness going on, people are afraid to be honest and open. The one thing you will not find on this page is political correctness. I'm just warning you now. What you will find is the truth. You will find the truth according to the gospel of Dilys. Okay? That's what you will find here. If it needs saying, it's going to get seared. I am also an events host. I am the best-selling author of the book, Not This Widow. My first book was called Predator or Prince, How to Find the Man of Your Dreams, Not Your Nightmares. I am a qualified and accredited life coach. I specialize in relationships, surprise, surprise, marriage, grief coaching, and self-confidence. Many different areas. All the areas that I specialize in are what you will see on this program. If you would like to speak to me privately, what you do is you send me a private message and I will book you in and you will have 30 minutes of my time, a free consultation. Guys, it's not to try and chat me up. It ain't no hookup. It's not a subliminal message of come and check me in my inbox. So if it's not a consultation that you're looking for, stay out my inbox. I'm just telling you because I just get too much nonsense in there. Okay, so that's what I do. I'm also a minister at New Glory Ministries in Romford. We are actually having a wonderful praise and Thanksgiving service on Saturday, the 19th of March. So it's next week, Saturday, and I will leave the details with that on that as well. The last announcement I'm going to be making to you guys is the Speak with Dilys live show, or this show is being launched on the 22nd of April next month. The link for the tickets for Eventbrite is actually on this little write-up here. Do get them. Now, for those of you that went and checked out the tickets when they went live on early hours of Monday morning, I have changed the date for the VIP tickets. The reason being, not only do they sell out quickly, but I have to cater for those. So those VIP ticket holders will be greeted with a glass of bubbly, canapes, private party, premium seating. That's what they are getting. So if you know that you want to come as a VIP, please get your tickets now. I will guarantee you they will sell out. They've already started selling, so I am telling you now. Okay, all of that done. Right. So before we go any further, how are you guys doing this evening? If you're feeling good, give me some hearts. Give me loads of hearts. If you're feeling a bit iffy, you can give me the care emoji. If you're feeling angry, however you're feeling, let me know. So I will wait for you to tell me how you're feeling, so I will know how much love and how much stroking I need to do before we start. Because this might get a bit emotional for some people. Because, you know, we talk about real life here. Yes, Aisha, they are out and selling fast. And like I said, if anybody's been to any of my events, they always sell out. Some people say they sold out. There are 3 people at the venue. That's happened before. Not mine, no. Hi, Gary Ryan. How are you doing? Thank you. Sorry, where do we get the tickets? You can get the tickets from Eventbrite, but on this description of this live, I've actually put the link for the tickets there. Now, if somebody will be kind enough to go to my page or can actually cut and paste the link for the Eventbrite tickets for the Speak with Dilys launch, that would be great. I said, I know you'll come VIP, Aisha. You don't have to tell me. I know where you were eating today. I know you're coming VIP. Hello. Hi, Stephanie. Thank you. And my darling Chanel is in the house. Lovely to see you too. Oh, and hello, Mum. How are you doing? And a big wave from me to Mum in Cardiff. God bless you. It's so lovely to have you on here. So, guys, okay, so I didn't see a lot of hearts. So you guys are not feeling too good? You're not happy to be here? What's going on? What's going on? What's happening? What's going on? Okay, I'm seeing some hearts. There's quite a few of you watching now. Let's see what you guys are doing. If you've joined, please do share, because this conversation is going to get very interesting. So, well, I'm glad you guys are feeling good. I'm feeling, oh, hi, Effie, how are you doing? Nikki says he's feeling sleepy. You would be. You've been DJing for 24 hours. And he's all the way in South Africa. I'm not jealous. Whatever. So, guys, this is what we're going to be speaking about, and get comfortable. For those of you who are feeling a little bit, I pray that you feel a lot better. I hope this conversation, if for nothing else, will be interesting for you. And I hope that we will be able to implement the things that we're going to be listening to tonight, and that you will feel free and be open. So for those of you who've never been on this page before, people are very respectful of each other. It's a really lovely space. It's very rare for you to see any comments on here that are either disrespectful or disparaging or judgmental. It's virtually impossible, which is quite unique, for social media. So, please. Oh, NM says she's sick with corona. I'm so sorry. I wish you well soon. Thank you, Ashanti Ans, for posting the link for the Speak with Dilys launch on Eventbrite. I really appreciate that. So, guys, the link is there. You can start to get your tickets ASAP. Thank you very much, Jay Ricky. See, you guys are just so lovely. And those of you posting, I hope you're going to buy your ticket, Yeah, right. So I hope to see you there. Let's get cracking. Right. I'm going to read to you what today's program is about, and then we're going to get this party started. Two's company, three's a crowd. Many marriages claim to benefit from an occasional or sometimes constant presence of a third party for an array of reasons. From sexual gratification to fulfilling a need such as intellectual intimacy that one partner feels they cannot get from the other. Is this a gender-specific need, and how beneficial or damaging can this be for a marriage? Is this a better option than, say, getting a divorce? Is the agreement of the other party necessary? Or is it okay provided the benefits of this arrangement is respectfully implemented without the knowledge of the other party? Where have we spoken about remaining under one roof in a loveless marriage? That was part one of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And attraction being crucial in maintaining a physical connection in the last two episodes of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. This sixth concluding episode of Speak with Dilys, Mr. and Mrs. Smith 3, Ring My Bell 2, tonight here on Speak with Dilys will no doubt prove to be the icing on the cake. So thank you very much for being here. Guys, if you've joined, please do share. I've only seen about 3 shares on here. So one person, if you could just share to 5 people, it would be great to have more people on here. So for those of you that haven't watched the last 2 episodes of Speak with Dilys, I'm going to give you a very quick recap of what it is we were speaking about. So as I mentioned briefly in the description, the first one was about couples that remain under the same roof for different reasons, whether it's financial reasons, whether it's because of the children or because of, religious reasons. They stay under the same roof knowing that they absolutely despise each other. And we were looking at how damaging that can be for, both parties. How it can also have an adverse effect on the children to whom we claim to be staying in the marriage for. So that was episode 1. There was a whole lot more that went on there. I would really encourage you to go and watch it. And then last week's one was about whether physical attraction was necessary in a marriage. And we spoke about even, some of the things that could affect a physical attraction is how we're spoken to in a relationship. And we spoke about different, love languages. I mentioned about words of affirmation, and I used myself as an example that I'm somebody that words are very powerful to me. So throwing insults and things like that is very detrimental to me. And once that happens, me being physically attracted to you, it just doesn't happen. So we were talking about those different elements, even went as far as talking about personal hygiene and about respect in a relationship. And I mentioned the fact that for me, I feel that showing respect for my partner, even taking care of personal hygiene before you even have sex, for me, was a sign of respect. So we went deep. So last week, I would really suggest that, you do go and have a listen to that episode, because it was really, really good. So Sweet Cherry Pie, I like your name. Welcome. I know I haven't seen you on here before, so welcome to Speak with Dilys. Tasha, good evening to you, my love. Hala, thank you. She's like the baddest cook in the whole of Ghana. Trust me, I've had her cuisine before. Nashreen, thank you for being on here. And William Manfall, my faithful friend. And Green Dodo Gold Heart, thank you so much for being on here. Guys, please do share if you are watching. Okay, so where do we start? Where do we start? So we're talking about whether having a third party in a relationship, whether it can help that relationship or marriage, because we're talking about marriage specifically, whether it can help the marriage or whether it will hurt the marriage. Let's just start by saying that it is very common, and I personally have found people that I've spoken to, obviously I'm a relationship coach, and aside from that, I'm so interested in the male-female dynamic that I'm constantly observing and asking questions and learning about how the two of us, get together and how we coexist with each other. And one of the things that I found was that a lot of men specifically, or predominantly, claim having that third party within the marriage, whether occasionally, whether periodically or consistently, somehow keeps them in their marriage. Now, we've spoken a lot about marriage, about what makes marriage work, what challenges the marriage, but most importantly, what the two parties agree that they want for their marriage. Because when all is said and done, a lot of this is about consent and agreement. And the one thing I've always said about consent is consent can be withdrawn. It can be withdrawn. And sometimes people consent to things for different reasons. Within marriage, many people consent to things out of fear. Whether it's fear of being alone, whether it's fear of what the neighbors might say, whether it's fear of being a single parent, whether it's fear of social status being dropped, because there are some people that believe that being divorced is, synonymous with being accused of murder. So those reasons sometimes make people consent to what they wouldn't consent to if that element of fear was not present. Now, for the other party, I think it's pretty evident that they would be aware that their partner would be consenting to those things for those reasons. Especially when you come from a society or a culture where being married is the be-all and end-all of life. Or rather, being divorced means you're treated like an outcast. A lot of times there is a subliminal threat from the man's part to the woman that if they were to divorce, you would get the rough end of the stick. And the fact is, you would. You would if you allow yourself to. Because a lot of women put a lot of emphasis on the fact that, oh, she's a divorcee. Like she's some scarlet woman. I personally have never been that way inclined in terms of staying in a marriage just to maintain status or because what people might say. So that's, I'm just giving you a little bit of background as to why some people may consent to having that third party. Now, let me just go down here. When you enter into a marriage, and if you watch the first 2 episodes, and many a time when I've spoken about marriage before, the problem starts from the moment you take your vows. I will expatiate on that point. When I say the problem starts from the moment you take your vows, or maybe even a little bit before, there is no agreement between the two. I think I taught on marriage and I said that being married or marriage is not synonymous with commitment. And a lot of you are like, how can you say that? Let me tell you something. And I did explain that people get married for different reasons. So until you establish the reason for which that person got married, why they married you and why you married them, the fact that you've gotten married does not mean you tick those commitment happily ever after boxes. You don't. All you did was get married. You just acquired. That is why when people say marriage is a piece of paper, I'm saying no, those marriages are a piece of paper. My marriage wasn't a piece of paper. My parents' marriage was not a piece of paper. It depends on the agreement between the two parties. Now, the reason why we end up having these issues of living like strangers in a house, physical attraction becoming secondary in a relationship, is because there was no agreement and understanding and no consent to the other party's desires, wishes, and standards was established prior to getting married. So last week, and we're going to do a little bit of recapping as well. Last week, we spoke about the fact that, when you are married, don't sleep in separate rooms when you have an argument. Because what it does is it allows that argument to last a lot longer than it needs to. Because if you know that at the end of that argument, no matter how heated it is going to be, that both of you are going to have to lay in the same bed together, then it's going to force you to have to converse with each other. Let me tell you something. Get into bed naked after an argument. Trust me. Unless your husband is made of wood, pun not intended, or unless you are a wet and cold fish, at some point during the night, you will soften. And all I'm saying is, when you banish your husband to the couch, or you, the wife, decides to sleep in the spare room, What you're saying is, I know why you're laughing, keep it clean. What you're saying is, I don't have the capacity to communicate effectively. You can't afford that in a marriage. Because the one thing that marriage requires is communication. The reason why we're doing this marriage thing in part 1, part 2, part 3, ultimately, it's about communication. And it's about the fact that one party has failed in either their desire or their effort to communicate to the other what they really want. It is an issue of honesty, because people are entering into marriages with a high level of dishonesty. That is what the issue is. We are marrying, taking vows, knowing that we have a serpent behind our back that is ready to bite the person we're marrying as and when the right conditions present itself. That is why we have the issue that we are having with marriage. This is why we'll be talking about, like I said, living under one roof, and you're at loggerheads, about physical attraction, because we're not allowed to be honest, or we don't like to hear the truth. Ladies, let me tell you something. The problem that we women have is we don't like the truth. Guys, if you're joining, please do share. If you're watching this, you haven't shared yet, please do share. And for the person that shares the most, let me be generous tonight. For the person that shares the most, you're going to get one VIP ticket to the Speak with Dilys live launch of my show on the 22nd of February. So you best get to share it. So actually what I will do is up until like the next couple of weeks, let's see how many of you share, because I will actually go and count, because it will actually show me. So guys, gets to sharing and you get one free VIP ticket to come to the show. The problem that we have with us women is that we don't like the truth. And because of that, men who lack integrity take great pleasure in lying. I mean, there are songs that are written about the way we want to be lied to. I don't care what you do to them or with them, just be good to me. Are you stupid? Or tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. All those songs. All that we write about it. Why would we write about it? I'm a songwriter. You write about life because we women like to hear lies. So what it does is it also puts the weaker man, or the man that doesn't want to be labeled or be, as a bastard, we force them not to be as honest as they should be with us. Let me give you an example. So for example, last week we spoke about whether physical attraction was necessary to keep a marriage together. And I can't remember whether I said this last week, but one of the things I had written on my notes, last week we just freestyled. What I did put in my notes was this. As a woman, the way we are physically designed, we don't have to have anything rise. We have substitutes that we can use to enable us to have sex if we are not really in the mood. Like I said, we're over the age of 18 here, or preferably 21. So I'm going to keep it real. So if a woman doesn't feel like having sex, you've got KY jelly there, or you've got other lubricants that you can use, okay? If a man doesn't want to have sex, unless Viagra will work for him, if he can't rise to the occasion, it's not happening. Though that is a fundamental difference between a man and a woman. Fundamental. For a man to get an erection, I mean, let's keep it real here. They wake up with one, okay? He's already ready. This is a man that, obviously has got no issues. Why am I feeling tight and uncomfortable here? Sorry, guys. Let me get comfortable. I'm feeling very uncomfortable in my chair. I don't know why. Okay, right. Okay, that's better. Okay, so hear this now. So fundamentally, we women can rely on certain aids to help us to have sex if we're not in the mood. For the man, it's not the same. So hear this now. If your husband does not find you attractive, it is harder for him to sleep with you. But woe betide the husband that tells the wife what is stopping him from being attracted? He's dead meat. Because women convince themselves, and should I add myself in it? Because I don't really believe that. Women tell themselves that attraction is synonymous with love, and it is not. It is not. Because if that's the case, a man that visits prostitutes would be in love with all the women that he pays to have sex with. Attraction is not synonymous with love. It isn't. But if we want to keep, our husbands interested, then we shouldn't be afraid to ask or have that conversation. What will help you to continue to be interested? We've got to just be honest and have those conversations. But again, like I said, when you get married and you're getting married and truth was not a foundation of your marriage and you didn't marry your friend, it's very difficult to have these conversations that leave you naked, that leave you transparent. That is the problem. Monson, thank you for being honest, says, why should a woman have sex if she's not in the mood? Is that not rape? No, it's not rape, darling. What is rape is when you are forced to have sex. I'm not being funny. There are many women who you may not necessarily be in the mood, but your husband's in the mood and you have sex for that reason. So let's not get over technical, because trust me, if it was rape, believe you me, I think maybe you need to go and read up on whose show you're on. I would be the first one to point that out. So I'm talking about a marital relationship where honesty in the bedroom is required. Because when you are able to be honest in the bedroom, you find that every other part of that marriage is quite transparent. The problem that we are having is we don't want to hear the truth from our husband to say, babe, the way you've put on weight, I don't find it attractive. Then woe betide the man that will have the audacity to tell his wife that she's put on weight and he don't find it attractive. Now, these are some of the reasons why some of us, our sex life has gone downhill. Don't worry, ladies, I will get onto the men in a minute. Let me concentrate on my sisters. And all I'm saying is, when we want to keep our marital homes as they should be, just pay attention to different areas. I am not saying that by not paying attention, it is justification for your husband to go out and get a third party involved in the marriage. I'm not going there. But I'm just concentrating on the fact that these are some of the things that we can do to help keep our marital homes or our bedroom healthy. And unfortunately, because of the way we are designed, we won't have those conversations. Because I've watched many talk shows, I've read many articles where, people say, oh, well, it's not what's on the inside, it's on the outside. Stop lying. It's a lie. It's crap. It's rubbish. In the bedroom, let me break this down. It's not what's on the outside that counts, it's what's on the inside. That works outside of the bedroom. That works when it is, the 7-day-a-week conversation that you have, the different interactions you have with your spouse. The moment it comes to being in the bedroom, what is on the inside don't count is what's on the inside don't count is what's on the outside that counts. Can I get a witness up in here? And that is why I mentioned in one of the other episodes that when people get super spiritual about marriage, sex, and relationships in the church, it's a problem, because come nighttime, you ain't sleeping next to a spirit, you are sleeping next to flesh and blood. And if that flesh and blood don't turn you on, you are in trouble. Okay, so that's why I'm saying here you will get the truth. I don't do political correctness. I won't sit here and say, guys, don't be so shallow, love your wife. But I'm not going to tell you that, because it's a lie. And it's a lie. And it doesn't help you. What we need to learn is the truth so that we can deal with the truth. So that if you're not attracted to your wife physically, try and be honest and sensitive. Being disrespectful and telling her, are you sure you want to eat that, is not helpful. It's about love and support. It's about maintaining that affection and respect whilst you're helping your wife or supporting your wife. Of course, we put on weight for different reasons. Sometimes the menopause will even make you put on weight. But all I'm saying is, let's keep it real, so that for those that it is just laziness or you just can't be bothered, that we can have these conversations so that we can, maintain our home. Because let me tell you something, the man married you. And if it's an honest marriage, you're the one that he really wants to be sleeping with. You're the one that he wants to spend his time with. You're the one he wants to be doing everything with. So allow him to be honest with you. Guys, let me tell you something. A lot of women are getting really bored in their marriages. Sexually, they are bored as hell. And I think where the older men have to start to pay attention is that your wife has needs as an older woman. The issue with us women that men don't seem to have is that we evolve a lot as we get older, as women. There is so much that goes on with us psychologically that makes us grow in a way that men don't grow. I've seen it, I've experienced it, I've witnessed it. And as men, if you don't pay attention to your wife's growth as a person, as an older woman, her attraction for you also diminishes greatly. Greatly. You see, society has taught us that we women are so desperate for marriage that in whatever state that marriage is in, we're all right with it. But that's not the truth. What we do is we find other interests. And because we find other interests, we actually don't care what you're doing. We just don't care about your life. That's just the truth. So whilst you think you're doing us a favor, she's bored. She's already out there. Not necessarily having an affair, but she has created and cultivated different interests outside the home such that you are not important anymore. And that's when you get into that cycle of two people living under one roof and they just start to get further and further and further apart. Because the moment you stop having sex, and don't get me wrong, when people say that, after a while, that depends on you, Not every couple is like that. And what I would suggest you do is if you find yourself going down that road, address it. Address it. Don't take it like, we've been together so long, after a while the sex get boring. No. Don't allow yourself to believe that fallacy. Don't put yourself in that category because it's not going to work for you. So I've just given you a little bit of background and background and a bit of context. And that was why I was speaking about the fact that, different anatomy of male and female. And it being important that the attraction element is there. Listen, there was one thing I learned from my mum. I'll tell you this. My mum was a housewife while she was here for many years. Kind of housewife. Or whenever she was home, I always remember my mum. She would always do the cooking and everything. And she would have her shower just before my dad got home. Mum would change her clothes. She'd put on her lipstick. She'd fix her hair. It's the one thing I remember growing up, like from when I was a baby. I always saw my mum looking pristine before my dad got home from work. Some of us women need to understand that our men, yes, it's true, they are visual. I'm not saying that you have to have a face full of makeup every day if you've got a new baby. I'm not saying that. Let's keep things in context. But even when I had my child, if I was going to shower, I would just make sure that it's before the hubby got home. If it meant I'm brushing my hair, I'm putting on a bit of mascara, those things take 2 minutes. You don't have to go and get a makeup artist. They take 2 minutes. Put a bit of mascara on, a bit of Vaseline on your lips or something, and just try. Just make that effort. And it brings me on to something else that I'll speak about a bit later on. And I'm talking about all these things because when I have spoken to people and I have witnessed people's relationships and the men have said, I have an extra person in the marriage because it helps me in my marriage. That's actually what keeps us together. So my wife doesn't have to deal with the stressful parts of the relationship. Like if my wife doesn't really like sex that much, then I'm able to have this other person. Again, let's go back to the beginning. It's about agreement. Has your wife sanctioned it? Does she know? Because if you're saying it helps you. Have you taken the trouble to find out why your wife is not having sex with you? I mean, I know that we speak about some pretty deep things, and I spoke about, certain experiences some women have had, and even some of you men as well. Let's keep it real here. And it has affected the way you show up in terms of intimacy in your relationships. Same with the women. And so if you're not being, again, it comes down to, look, whichever way I turn this conversation, it comes back down to honesty and transparency on conversation. We can't get away from it. And this is why when you get married, when you're not honest, and you don't marry your friend, and you marry with an agenda, or you marry with something that you seek to gain and not give in the marriage, you'll find that you've shot yourself in the foot in many different areas. Because what should be normal and run of the mill for a normal couple, you aren't able to enjoy those things because you didn't go into it with good intentions. So you find that you're stuck. And like I said earlier on, the second greatest form of incarceration after prison is a bad marriage. The second form of the worst incarceration that you can suffer after being in like a proper, conventional prison is marriage. It is the worst thing. It can kill you and send you to an early grave real quick. So when we're talking about having that third person in the marriage, there are different reasons. And one of the things I came across and I found quite shocking was where there are issues of infertility. What happens is this. When the woman can't have kids and the man doesn't necessarily want to divorce her, and I'm not talking about a man that will marry a second wife. I'm talking about the man that will go and have a child outside. Now, many a time, the wife just finds he's had a child outside. It was not with her consent or her agreement. This is where people have to learn not to be selfish. Because you have to allow people to go and be honest and say, babe, this will be my deal breaker. Again, you remember I said in the beginning that the problem starts when you take your vows or even before them because you're not honest. You should be honest enough to say, look, I'm marrying you. We haven't tried, to have kids together. But I just want you to know that if you can't have children, I will bail on you. And give that woman the opportunity to say, oh, for real? Well, in that case, I completely understand. Goodbye. Or I'm willing to take that chance. And like I said, we force people to accept certain terms and conditions of the marriage because we are not honest. So there is an unspoken threat to the person that we're married to by means of our actions. So we won't blatantly say, I'm going to leave you or I'm going to go and have an affair. But you know that because that person is vulnerable in the marriage, those are the not so subliminal messages that you're giving that person. Again, I would say the woman is victimized twice in as much that there are times where the man is infertile. And this happens in certain cultures. The man is infertile and therefore he's asking his wife to go and sleep with another man and pass the child off as his to save his blushes. But isn't it interesting how when the woman is infertile, they either divorce her ass or go and get a next woman pregnant or go and marry a second woman. But the moment the man is shooting blanks, then the wife should prostitute herself, have a child by somebody, lie to the child she's giving birth to, lie to the whole world in order to save the husband's face. Isn't that interesting? And it is common. Do not think that this is some far-fetched Nollywood plot, because it's not. It happens often. And again, it comes down to honesty. What are the terms and conditions of your marriage? Because as I said, marriage is a contract. You have to decide whether you are able to perform the part of the contract that you have signed up to. So if in the beginning, when you're getting married, you don't establish that, hold on, in this marriage, it's a conventional marriage. I don't want you having an affair. I'm not having an affair. If that happens, understand that the marriage will be over. Unless you're establishing those things, then anything goes. Then it's difficult to say how that has been breached. Guys, let me start reading some of your comments. Lynette says, man shooting blank, shocking. It happens. Rakaya, thank you for joining. Nashreen says, a bad marriage stresses you out and stress can kill. Oh, yes. And I do believe, again, going back, that we spoke about how it can affect, give you heart disease. It's responsible for different types of cancers, kidney problems. Stress is very bad in many different ways. It has so many, let's not even go into, your mental health and all of that. Chanel says, how many women have you come across that have an extra bit in their marriage? And also, are men as accepting of this arrangement as some women are? When men introduce an extra bit, I'm curious to know the acceptance dynamic. No, they're not. The only time I found that the men don't complain too much is when the man is far, 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 far older than the woman. And sexually, he's not performing. So he knows that his young wife is going to go out and go and get some. There's that scenario. And also, as I mentioned, when the man can't have children and he wants to have kids, then he will give permission to the wife to sleep around till she gets pregnant. That's common. With the men having that extra bit, as we know, it's not only is it common, it is socially acceptable. It's socially acceptable. When you see a man out with his side piece, somehow we aren't as shocked, as repulsed, as if a woman is out with her bit on the side. And that's just how inequality looks. Quite frankly, that's just how it looks. Millicent Emily Quist, thank you for being on here. Esther Lawson as well. Ronald from the States, thank you for being on here, my love. Mariama Ba, thank you. She says, Junie Harris, thank you for being on here. Our Marikua says, please share. Yes, if you haven't shared this live, please do. Alan Rose, thank you for being on here. Regina Andam as well. Essie Sam as well. Rachel Dou. Chai Dilys Silla is in her element, thank you. Very well spoken, Alana says. Guys, where are your comments? Amari, thank you for being on here. Rita Siri, there's quite a few on here actually. Our Mariku says she greets each and every one of you on here. Thank you. Aisha said, God is the founder of homes and should be the one involved in every conflict. Third party be that. This does not overrule the place of having a mentor, but this has to be done by God's leading. And we also have to be careful of who we choose as a mentor, because some mentors have destroyed many homes. Okay, and I think that's a very important point that you make here. So for those of us who are of a, Christian faith, Muslim or what have you disposition, then yes, God has to be a part of it. But I'm also very much aware that there are people that watch this who are not religious and who also have great marriages. Likewise, there are people who are Christian and have horrible marriages. So I'm always very, careful to be as inclusive as possible. But what Aisha is saying is absolutely right. And again, yes, having that third person, if you need to have advice and support for your marriage, be careful who you go to. I've mentioned this before. When you're in church, your pastor may not necessarily be the best person to mentor you or to counsel you. Sometimes what they're giving you is their opinion, and sometimes their opinion ain't jack. So don't just automatically go there just because that person is your pastor. Yeah. So Yal said, thank you for being on here as well. Monica Martini. Yes. Abna Pokwa, thank you for being on here as well. Monum says, why should a woman? Oh yeah, I explained that we're not talking about being forced to have sex. We would not be advocating such a thing on my show. Helen Opoku, thank you for being on here. And George says, thank you very much for your compliment. Yes, keep your comments coming. Thank you, Lucas. Thank you for your lovely compliments, guys, if I can even get the words out. Sherelle, thank you for being on. She said, good evening from Barbados. She says, I'm addicted. Lovely earrings. Thank you very much. I can't remember where I got these from. I think I got them from TK Maxx. I think I did, yes. But they only do one off, so if I get another pair, I shall be sure to post them over to you. So yes. So this is where we were talking about third parties in the marriage and whether it's been done consensually. Now, what I asked in that write-up was, is divorce an option? And I think in all of the episodes that we've spoken about, we've looked at divorce. Hi, Denise, how are you doing? Nice to have you on here, sis. Is divorce an option? Well, only you can answer that. Guys, if you're on here, please share. There's not a lot of sharing going on tonight. What's going on? What's going on? Are you that bored that you're not sharing this live? I'm thinking that we're getting somewhere tonight with this concluding part. Divorce is always an option if you aren't religious about divorce, and if you like your life, if you feel you are deserving of happiness, and if you feel that you deserve a second chance and can forgive yourself. Hi, Afalabi. I know you always share, so thank you very much. Kadijatu, thank you for just jumping on here. Much appreciated. Cheryl says, beautiful topic. Thank you. This is the third part of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So this is the concluding part of a 3-part series we've done on marriage. I have really enjoyed delivering this, I must admit. Lennox says, been listening and I find your comments interesting, very informative. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Maria, thank you for jumping on here as well. For me, look, I'm 50 years old. I have lived. I have seen a lot. I have been curious about the male-female relationships from when I was 18. I used to ask the boys, teenage guys, why do you like that girl over that one? But she's prettier than that one. And that's when I realized that looks in a relationship, in a marriage, just gives you, not in a marriage, sorry, but before you're married, when you're on the market, all it does is it just gives you a bit of a leg up. It's not a guarantee that you necessarily will have the pick of the crop. You don't. It has its place. So I kind of realized that looks has got, you've got to look at it from the right perspective. It's not a guarantee that I'm pretty, therefore I can get him and him and him. Yeah, you can, but it's dependent on other things, not just your looks. It means you may turn some heads quicker than the average looking chick, but it doesn't necessarily mean that because you're pretty, that you are going to get married or have a better relationship than the average looking chick. It really doesn't work like that. Trust me, it doesn't. Hi, Yomi. Thank you for being on here. And then the other thing as well, why, you see, a lot of it that I found with this was the introduction of a third person. A lot of it had to do with intimacy and sex. I know the two are not the same thing. And I think we spoke about that. Again, we spoke about that before. Intimacy and sex are not the same thing. You can have sex with somebody, but it's not intimate, if that makes sense. So, for example, I always use the example of a man and a prostitute. He's having sex, but you can be intimate with somebody without having sex. And I think for those people that have this third person out there, unless you're speaking of somebody that is just generally just nasty and they just want to sleep around, that's a different topic for another day. And I like to speak about these things in context of somebody that under normal circumstances, this is not what they would do. Because when you have somebody that is always stepping out on their marriage, clearly they're not happy. But you see, the problem that we have about these issues, especially, I'm coming back to the men. Men are unfaithful for many different reasons. There are a lot of very damaged men out there. I'm telling you. There are a lot of men who are married who have never been emotionally available. Guys, I'm talking to you. You have never cried in front of your wife. You have never been able to be vulnerable in front of your wife. And I'm not going to put it on the wife. Oh, maybe because the wife is like, Some of you have married some amazing women. The point is, you have brought the hurt, the disappointment, and the issues of what you have experienced in your childhood into your marriage. And so for that reason, where you should be vulnerable and intimate with your wife, you spread yourself thin so you don't have to really be intimate and vulnerable with anybody. And that's your story. It is not the fact that there is something wrong with your wife that you can't speak to her. You haven't learnt to grow up and be a man emotionally. And so therefore, you marry, or you got married because it was the thing to do, because you'd reached that age of marriage, or you wanted kids, and not that you don't love your wife, you do love your wife. But what you haven't done is allowed yourself to be vulnerable to your wife and love her to the full capacity. Let me give you an example. You see this bottle? If it was full, it would be here. Let's say that this symbolizes love, your love. From here to the top. Let's say it was full. But what's happened is, because of the issues that you have, you don't have the capacity to love up here. But you don't know this. You only have the capacity to love up here. That's your full capacity. But you are operating here, or even here. As far as you're concerned, you love a lot. But the truth of the matter is, you are not even halfway in terms of the capacity to love. You are way below the love capacity line. So on a scale of 1 to 10, if your capacity to love was 10, you're operating at a 5. In fact, no, you're not operating at a 5. Your capacity is 5 because of the things that you've been through. Your capacity is 5, but you are operating at a 3. So essentially, you are loving your wife a 3 out of 10. But you think you're doing so much, but you're not. So I hope this analogy kind of breaks it down. You are operating, your capacity is here, but you're operating here. And this is what you're giving your wife because of what you have experienced in life. And you see, and because of that, all this from here upwards is not only your capacity to love, but where you need to be for your healing. And as you get healed, the capacity increases. That shows your capacity to love. Many of you men, you are operating down here. And you see, and we women aren't aware of that. In fact, even you men are not aware of that. So when we're saying that we have a need, or we don't feel fulfilled, or we don't feel heard, or we feel that we aren't really getting to you, you don't understand what we're speaking about because we can't articulate it like this. But for those of you that will watch this, guys, I really hope you will share this. Every woman on here should be sharing this because there's a man out there that needs to understand this. There's a man out there that needs to understand this. Hey, Becky Bex is in the house. How are you doing? Lovely to have you on here. Marlene Frank, Afolabi, thank you for being on here. Guys, Patience, Princess, thank you for being on here as well. And I'll read your comments in a minute. I just wanted to, welcome you guys. But that's what is happening. This is what is happening to our marriages. The capacity to love is way below par. I hope you understand, that example that I've just given. As I said, guys, if you like this analogy that I've just given, I'm telling you, please do share, because for me, I feel my responsibility is to enable people to enjoy their marriages, to help people restore their homes. Guys, there's nothing out there. There's nothing out there. All you're doing is joining your spirit to different women and allowing different people to be a partaker of your marital life. If your marriage is miserable, here's a new word for you. It's going to be miserabler when you introduce other people. Don't deceive yourself that by having other people involved in your home makes it better. No, it doesn't. What it does is it reinforces what we call denial. That's what it does. It doesn't make it better. It means the conversation that you should be having with your spouse in order to be able to set things right, in order to be able to increase your capacity to love and heal, you are putting it off by investing this small part of your capacity to love. You're just further reducing it by spreading it out there. That's all you're doing. That is all you are doing. You are damaging yourself spiritually. You're damaging yourself morally. You're damaging yourself emotionally. Because let me tell you something. Sex is a spiritual thing. It's not a physical thing. So as you're there spreading yourself here, there, and everywhere, you're leaving a piece of yourself where it has no business being. And then you come home and sleep with your wife. People always talk about, you can get an STD. Listen, Be more concerned of the STD, which is spiritually transmitted disease, than the sexually transmitted disease. The spiritually transmitted disease, trust me, it cannot be cured with antibiotics. Okay? The STD, which is a spiritually transmitted disease, is a lot harder to cure than a sexual one. And if you want, you see, this is why when we talk about the two becoming one, it's because we're talking about sex and your spirit joining together. And this is why I'm saying, this is why divorce should always be an option when you know all else has failed. I'm just being honest with you. I will never be the person that will say to you, sit in a terrible marriage. Don't get me wrong. I am not saying, do not misquote me, do not misunderstand me. I am not saying at the first sign of trouble, run. I'm saying when you know that you have done everything that you can to change that marriage in conjunction with your spouse, because if you are the only person trying to make the marriage work, then get out. Because if that was the case, you could have stood at the altar by yourself or in that registry office by yourself and taken vows by yourself. It takes two to make a marriage. If one of you is disinterested in making that marriage work, then the other person, actually, you have no option but to check out, because that person has rescinded their responsibility of that marital contract. And you see, and when you don't allow yourself to be honest about your situation, this is where you end up with the third parties, whether you become a third party in somebody's marriage or somebody becomes a third party in yours, and it just becomes a mess. It just becomes a mess. So you've got to decide whether you are worth being given a second chance. But you have to give yourself a second chance. Guys, let me read some of your comments because we are going to be wrapping up pretty soon. Let me see how far back I'm going to go. Maria Massakoy, thank you for being on here. Kay Samantha as well. Christy Moigura, thank you for being on here. I'm seeing a lot of new names, so welcome. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you are, please do share. William Manfield says, looks can actually intimidate potential partners. Good looks can also mean trouble in a relationship. Okay. William, you're not wrong. And this is why, and thank you for making that comment, because I was thinking about this during the week. I have heard men say, and I think I've mentioned this, that they don't want to marry a good-looking woman. You see, such men are stupid. I'm sorry. But like I said, I don't do political correctness. You are stupid. And not only are you stupid, you're a hypocrite. And not only are you a hypocrite, but you're full of rubbish. And I'll tell you why. You want to marry a woman that you know that you are not attracted to. And because you're so damn selfish, you don't want any other man to look at your wife. That takes a man who is weak, and his whole game must be whack. His sexual game definitely is whack. He is whack, and everything about him is whack. Because let me tell you something. Why should you not be proud that other men are looking at your wife thinking, "Ooh, he's a lucky man, he's blessed"? Why would you want Miss Average? Because what you're saying is, I am so insecure and so untruthful with myself that I must find a woman that I perceive to be beneath me or not quite there so that I can control her and I have no risk of her being attracted to another man and dumping me. That's the only reason why a man will consciously go and date a woman or marry a woman who he deems to be unattractive. I have had guys say, "Hey, this one, she's too fine," but they don't marry her. Are you stupid? Like, seriously, I'm telling you, listen, there is nothing I haven't heard. I'm telling you, there is nothing I haven't heard. There's some men, they will admire me from afar, but the fact that I have got boobs and I've got a butt and I've got hips, hey, no, because they don't want the fact that other men are going to be looking at me. And it's like some unspoken rule that a woman that is seemingly attractive has got loose morals. No. They're all, you see, all these things stem from stupidity and insecurity. Honestly, and if there's a man that, listen, like I said, I've heard it all before. I need to move on because I'm going to be cussing some men tonight. Okay, so Lennox says, beauty helps, but a great mind makes it better. Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. Ajibola Laditi, thank you for watching as well. Mariam Abba as well. Aisha says, a third party should not interfere in a marriage because the Bible says that two shall become one and not three shall become one. Absolutely correct. Aisha further goes on to say, you just hit the nail on the head. Wow. Aisha says, I love your explanation with the bottle. Thank you. Pauline Moss said, yes. Are so right. You're so right. You are so right. Thank you for the discussion. Thank you too for watching. Princess says, you haven't learned to grow up and be vulnerable. Please help me love this 100% and more. Thank you so much, Princess. And I really do appreciate you being here and supporting every week. Guys, if you're on here, please do share. Patience is fantastic. Aisha said, you've got the wow factor. Thank you so much. And God bless you too. Afolabi says, a lot of you have not grown up and some are trying to catch up on what they did not experience when they were boys. That is true. And this is what I'm saying, that we have to be tender and we have to be accommodating and be that support system. But you see, with a lot of us women, we do try. Some of us don't realize how damaged our husbands are until we actually, sometimes when we marry them, because sometimes it's after the marriage that the men feel they can exhale and be their true selves. It's not only women that can be deceptive in that respect, men can too. And it's sometimes it's overwhelming when you look at exactly what's wrong and what needs to be done to help that person on their healing journey. But as the man, you've got to listen. You have to learn to be vulnerable to your wife. And if you cannot be vulnerable to your wife, then she has no business being your wife. There is too much deception that goes on in marriages, especially among certain cultures. I'll get to that in a minute. Marlene Frank says, most men have been raised not to cry or show emotion. That is very, very true. And we so need to get away from that. Oliver says, awesome. Thank you for watching this, Oliver. Dee says, preach this, I get you. Hello, Dee. Lovely to have you on here. Mariama says, real talk. Anita Agri says, great analogy with the bottle. Yep, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Minister Anita. Patience says, deep revelation. Ajibola says, what is love? Ooh, isn't that the question? Christabel says, very interesting and informative. Thank you. Michelle Quay, how you doing? Says, wish this could be on a TV channel for all to hear. Well, on that note, Speak with Dilys is launching the live show on the 22nd of April. Tickets are on sale on Eventbrite. You can put in Speak with Dilys on Eventbrite and it will come up, or you can follow the links that are on my fan page or on my personal page. They are there. There is one VIP ticket that is to be won by the person that shares these videos the most within the next 2 weeks. So do get to sharing and you will have that VIP ticket, which entitles you to some nice little canapes, something bubbly to drink when you get there, a private party, premium seating on the night. You will absolutely love it. I am looking for sponsorship. I'm also looking for somebody that can help me film the show. If you know of anyone that can help, please drop me a message in my inbox. I would appreciate it. Fola Afolabi, thank you for being on here. Mariama says, no sound for you, girl. I'm sure it's only you, so you might want to log out and come back in again. William says, the human capacity to love in general is below par. Love and loving someone is a challenge because it demands sacrifices and commitment. Most of us are unwilling to invest a lot of love in our relationships because self-love comes first. I think I get what you're trying to say. Yes, self-love, but I think after we have gotten over that, our capacity to love, I think, is very great. I think those that are suffering with their capacity to love are the people that have not really received love. And what I will say to you ladies is, what is a giveaway for the men? Check how they were raised. Check it. Because it's a great indicator for letting you know their capacity to love without limits. I said it's an indicator. I'm not saying it is a, what's the word? Not foolproof. It's not an exact science. It is an indicator. It's to be a bit of a guide to let you know how to gauge what that man needs. I mean, I'm telling you, it's powerful. Listen to some of the stories they tell you of their childhood. Be attentive. There are things that you will pick up about their upbringing that will explain certain ways in which they behave. what it should also do for you as the wife is allow you to avoid certain behaviors once you've caught that revelation. There's some things that I will not share personally because they're a bit too private. But on a one-on-one, if I was coaching on a one-on-one, or if we were having like a private group, whatever's, then I would be more inclined to share certain things, because of course I have to be sensitive to other people's information, even if it concerns me. Yeah, but I would say that, be observant. Listen to the man when he's speaking. Or when I was young, me and my siblings, as for me, I know that the older one was my dad's favorite, but me, whenever my older brother, for example, would ask for stuff, he would always get at me. The way I had to hustle, and they would laugh. Don't be deceived. There's a story in there that he wants to say that he can't say. Trust me. Trust me. I remember having a conversation with my husband once about something, and I said, hold on. You always speak about this person, but you've never mentioned their other half. And that was a whole revelation, because I listened and I was like, there's something going on here. Pay attention when your man is speaking. There's a lot of information there that you will find very helpful. Mercy and Joko, thank you for being on here. Chanel says the whole cake and not crumbs, specifically when a woman, you are serving a gigantic gâteau at all times. Okay, somebody just sent me a message. Thank you very much. Rakaya says, thanks so much. So happy I joined. Very interesting. Well, I'm very happy to have you here. Marlene Frank, thank you for being on here. Create soul ties. Yes, it does. Akosia Ajimai, thank you for being on here. Michael Scott. Gosh, my chest is hurting. I've got chest pains. Don't know where that's come from. All the witches, that upset, I'm telling you your story, so that men can have happy home. I bind you in the name of Jesus. You cannot give me chest pain, no. Lie. Yeah, be fire woman, I will fire you. Just because I'm letting people know what they can do to keep their happy home. You want to be giving me chest pain on my own show? Yeah, not well. In fact, let's have a moment of prayer. Okay, so Anita says, that's right, the spiritual connotations are what much worse than the physical. You guys stop laughing because I can't read. Creation of soul ties. Do people check and test the spirits of those they have sex with? No, of course they don't. Coaches, hola, thank you for being on here. Princess says, oh dear. Sally Thomas, thank you for being on here as well. Anita Fengai. Martes, there's so many new names on here, guys. I hope you're enjoying this. Please do come back next week for more Speak with Dilys. Rebecca Ojuka, thank you for being on here. Princess says, such a lie, because unattractive to one is queen to another. That is so right, because sometimes these men will make it look like this woman, she's not that good looking. It's true. To somebody, you're a queen, or let me tell you that for nothing. Let no man let you feel that you're not attractive. To some men, I'm the ugliest woman that ever lived. To other men, I'm the best thing that ever lived. The thing is, you cannot be all things to all men. You're not Jesus. Do you understand? Just stay in your lane. You're absolutely right. Fatmata, thank you for being on here. Lennox says, I don't mind a man looking at my lady. It makes me know that I've got a lovely lady. Is that because you're sensible, because you're normal? There is nothing wrong with window shopping as long as you don't buy. Within context, don't window shop when you're with your lady. I was going to say something, but I won't say it because it's just not very good. But I remember, no, I'm not going to tell you that story. No, let's move swiftly on. Victor Spain, thanks for being on here. Mariana as well. So this is so true, informative. Sylvia, thanks for being on here. Dee says, so this means we will not see you here on Sundays. Oh, you mean if I go on the live show? No, you will. So basically what's happening is I'm doing the live show. It's on a Friday. Once it goes on TV, I'm not sure what's going to happen. We'll see. Maybe I'll have a private group for people. Who knows? And there is a private group. There's a Speak with Dilys group, so you can join that as well to carry on the conversation after we clock off here. Nana Pretty, thanks for being on here. Sadia Haruna, thank you. Nicholas Kobia. There's so many new names on here, guys. I hope you're enjoying this. And it's nice to have new people. And can I just say, if you haven't followed the Speak with Dilys page, could you please do that? Please follow this page. And then that way, if you switch on your notification, you will know whenever I'm on. Saida, thank you so much. Is someone else's successful woman is a hot cake outside? Yep. Adraprempa, thank you so much for being on here. D. Otabil as well. Kabu, where have you been? Saeed says, I'm enjoying your talk. Thank you so much. Deborah Moraine, thank you for being on here. Denise says, as we say, every piece of cloth have its own. That's very true. Anita Aminata, thank you for being on here as well. You're absolutely right. So guys, let's whiz through because my time is actually up. So yeah, one of the things that I was going to speak about as well, and I'm just going to throw this in here. When we were talking about the male-female anatomy and that, women, when we don't feel like having sex, we want to have sex because our husbands just want it and we're not maybe particularly in the mood. We can use whatever. For the men, they have to be attracted for their anatomy to work to perform. So we're not on the same, page on that in that respect. And I was saying that, men normally are ever ready for sex. What do I mean by that? Like I said, they wake up with erections. We have periods, we have pregnancy, like periods, pregnancy, menopause. We have all these things to give us a break. Men don't necessarily have that. And I just thought I'd just throw that in there to say, look, when you have a husband whose sex drive is very, very high, and yours may be average or not as high, even if it was, you get to have a break. They don't necessarily. So the whole physical attraction thing is important. And this is why some men step out. I repeat, I am not giving excuses. I'm giving you reasons. Because when you have the man that doesn't have the full capacity, because he's operating down here, his ability to step out is easy. And this is what we women don't understand. Because they are not operating in that way, emotionally, mentally, psychologically, they're not there. Their ability to remain faithful is what's affected. With us women, most of us are operating within our full capacity. Unless you're like me, and for a long time I was operating like a man. That's another story for another day. Not that I've ever stepped out on anyone, but women will more often than not operate at their full capacity. So when it comes to, that's when we're romantically involved. A man could be romantically involved and committed, but isn't aware that his capacity is not full. So the things that would constrain him in remaining focused and faithful are different. They are not on par with the woman. So, I'm not saying that, again, I'm giving reasons. Just like how I gave the reasons about, women try and remain attractive to your husband. Let me tell you something, ladies. Do not bring political correctness into your marital home. In that respect. I'm not saying act like you're in the 1940s and you're a doormat to your husband. Get it right. Don't bring foolishness into your home. Oh, well, it's not what's on the outside, it's what's on the inside. If he really loved you, let me tell you something. Your husband can really love you and really not be attracted to you. You might not like it, but I'm telling you, your husband may really love you. He may really not want to give you one or two. He may really love you. You see, I'm a very honest person. And I understand the men because my thinking, I am very masculine in that respect. Like I said, I don't do political correctness here. I just do the truth. So for example, for me, I like a certain type of look for a man. If my husband became morbidly obese, I would still love him. Ain't a snowball's chance in hell I'd be sleeping with him. I'm just telling you. And if that's shallow, then let me go and swim in the shallow end of that pool. Because I'm being honest with you. If a man was on social media saying this, he'd be getting hate mail. But I have to be honest. Because attraction and love are not the same thing. And when we constantly deny our spouse of what it is that we need to be, to keep connected and interested, we weaken the foundation of our marriage. Because what we're saying is that what's important to you, I don't care about. And I'm just saying, let's be honest. Things happen. We women, our bodies, you think I looked like this when I was 25? In fact, I didn't start looking like this till I was about 40 something. I was always super duper slim. Like, I had one of those stomachs that went in. Look, I have love handles. Yeah? Maybe to you they're not love handles, but to me, if you know how slim I was, for those of you that knew me back in the day, I was super slim. Now, if my husband, I'd married then, and the man liked a woman that was a stick insect, trust me, he'd be in for a nasty surprise, because I was like a 34B for years. Hello? All I'm saying is, some things you don't have any control over, you can't change. But you see, you know what dilutes the physical a little bit? That emotional connection and that constant conversation. That's what changes things a little bit. But if you can do something about it, do it. Men, don't think that we women like pot bellies, you know. Don't get it twisted. Don't think that you get to let yourself go and we somehow don't think, oh, do I really have to live with this till death us do part? Don't get it twisted. Because the one thing that you older men need to get a grip of, I'm 50. I have men in my inbox who are 35. Trust me. Who've had their kids, so don't get it twisted and think that, oh, well, you know, you can't have kids at 50. You stay there. There are men in my inbox 35, 40. I am 50. In fact, some even younger. And I have to say to them, listen, you should be calling me auntie, where's your manners? Because again, the arrogance of some men feel that, oh, because you're of a certain age, that we're looking to date men in our age group. Not necessarily. I'm not being funny, I'm 50. Listen, I could date a 40-year-old man, and I don't think people would think that he was dating his mother. So again, you also have to realize that we too have options. We too have options. We too know what turns us off. It's not a one-sided thing. I do keep this thing balanced, ladies. I keep it balanced. Big sis Abla, thank you so much for being on here. Abla says, in 1994 or so, Halle Berry's husband cheated on her and they broke up. I was single, but it made a huge impression on me into my adult life. Oh yeah, with that, I'm not being funny. Eric Benet was a bit of a dog. I'm not being funny. He was slept with his therapist. That was like the lowest of the low. This guy was suffering from sex addiction and he slept with his therapist. That was just bad. Faye says, you're blessed with good genes. Bless you, thank you. Marnie says, you are still quite young, lovely. Well, young, yeah, ish. At 50, am I young? I don't think so. Gina Roberts, thank you for being on here. Thanks for joining, love. Alice Asante, you as well. Keisha Palmer, thank you for being on here. Lindsay Lane Paul, thank you for being on here. And Afolabi says, true. So, guys, I have to wrap up, you know. You guys make me talk too much. Right, so, where are we? We have been into quite a lot of interesting places. Let me see where I'm going to conclude from. Ooh. Yes, I think one of the things I was looking at on that list was, you know, women evolve with age, and I spoke about that. So in conclusion, I think ultimately, having looked at, you know, part 1, part 2, part 3, living in a loveless marriage, physical attraction being important, whether third parties can help. I would say in conclusion, a third party can only help your marriage if the two of you agree to that third person being in your marriage. What I would say in addition to that is that you are all living in a fool's paradise, because the only reason why you're asking for a third party to come in your marriage is because you feel that it's going to keep the two of you together. What you don't have any control over is whether that third person coming into your marriage, whether they are going to want to keep or take that person that invited them in. It happens all the time. It happens with couples who wife swap. It happens with couples that do this kind of thing. That, okay, well, you know, I occasionally have this person, or yeah, my wife knows about it, or my husband knows about it. It comes down to what you want. It comes down to the kind of marriage that you want to enjoy. There is a lot to be said about intimacy, commitment, and loyalty. The problem that we have today is that people are not loyal because people are afraid to be vulnerable. And because people are afraid to be vulnerable, they do not allow you to know who they are. But if we can do the work on ourselves, go back and have a bit of a history lesson of where we're coming from. You know, when I wanted to get married, my objective was that I wanted to be the best wife any man could have. So for that reason, I made it my business to be honest about all the things that were not good about me as a person in a relationship. And as I said, I was very masculine in that regard. I would just dump a guy. I wouldn't even tell you that I'm leaving. I would just dog you. You'd ring my phone. When I don't answer, you know, okay, she must have gone. That was me. It wasn't very nice, but hey, that's where I was at the time, in that time of my life. For many, many, many years. But when I realized that I now wanted to settle down and get married, I thought, Dilys, you can't be doing that. You've got to learn to communicate. You'd think that, you know, it's like, wow, you communicate? Yeah. Because when things were so emotional for me, or if I wasn't happy about anything, I would just bottle it up. And then you'd do something really small and there'd be just this eruption. I don't do that anymore. Now I'm a great talker. I will articulate what it is that is bothering me. And this is how, you know, I have conducted myself for many years now when I realized that actually I want to get married. So you've got to be honest with yourself and be honest about how you feel and start to do the work. When you are in a relationship, there has to be a review of what you consented to. What you consented to in the beginning may not be what you wish to consent to maybe after you've had children, or after you are 10 years older, or after you have made money. So every contract that we enter into in regards to our marriage is subject to review, because you know why? Because every contract has its term. So whether it's a term that you now implement as a sub-clause, i.e. I want to get a separation, or I want to get a divorce, that is your time to renegotiate the terms and conditions of that marriage. So the fact that you consented to something in the beginning does not mean that you have to live with it. So the fact that you turned a blind eye to your husband's infidelity or your wife's infidelity in the beginning does not mean that you have to live with her or him being, having relationships outside the marriage indefinitely. Renegotiate the terms and conditions of that contract. And then agree the boundaries and the sanctions of rescinding on that agreement. Because what cannot work is you sitting there saying, okay, this is not a problem, but because I've allowed it to go on for so long, I have to live with it. You don't have to live with Jack. I'll tell you what you do have to live with: yourself. You have to look in the mirror and see what disrespect looks like, what being despised looks like, what not being valued looks like. You get to look at yourself. That's what you get to look at. But you also get to ask yourself, do you not deserve better? Your choice. For singles, if there's anyone that's single that's watching this, I would really recommend that you go back and you watch episode 1 of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, episode 2, and episode 3. Watch it before you get married. Is it too late? No. What I suggest that you do is that if you are in a marriage that is a bad marriage, I would suggest that you start doing some healing work on your own, to even ask yourself how you got here. And I would encourage you to get some help. I keep saying this. I don't think my inbox is full enough. You need to start to get some help. And then when you have built yourself up, and I can show you how to have those difficult conversations, then you can start to implement things and start to strategize on how you are going to make your marriage work, provided your husband or your wife is interested. If you are in a marriage and your spouse is by no means interested in sitting down with you to sort out your issues, you are not married, you are already divorced. You just don't have the paper to prove it. For married men, and I think I explained this earlier on, you need to sort out your emotional complexities. You need to sort out your healing journey. You need to go back and resolve your mother issues and your father issues. You need to go and sort out your insecurity issues, because some of you have many of them. Many of the problems that you are bringing to your wife stems from insecurity. So you're a bastard in the marriage and lording it over your wife because you can't do that anywhere else. That's what's happening. But it came from somewhere. So when you're there sleeping with this woman and this woman is your chick and this one is your side chick, you're not a big man, you're a boy. Because men know about commitment and loyalty. You're not a big man. When you're acting like wherever I lay my hat, that's my home, nah. You are not able to focus on your home because there is a boy still in there that is looking for something that he can't just get from his wife. The fact is, you can't get it from anywhere else either, because you have to work on yourself to be able to heal those things within you that doesn't allow you to be vulnerable and therefore doesn't allow you to commit. Remember, marriage is just marriage. It doesn't mean that there is commitment. Commitment is when you decide here, and for some of you men down here, that you're going to be committed. That's when a marriage takes place. Not just by standing in front of a pastor or in a registry office or going to give drinks to some woman's family. That's not where marriage begins. It begins up here when you make that decision to be committed. Okay? And so for those of you that fear emotional vulnerability and your inability to give and receive love, your trust issues, a lot of you men, the reason why you're not committing to your wives is because you have trust issues. And your trust issue didn't start because your wife was unfaithful. Your trust issue started because as a child, they let you down. Your father let you down. Your mother let you down. When they sent you to go and live with that family, they let you down. They made you feel like you were less than. Be honest. That's where your issues start from. It didn't start from your marital home. And because of that, the more you acquire, the more you use it to falsely validate who you think it makes you. Your money does not validate you. Your position does not validate you. And your car doesn't validate you. And neither does the number of women that you're sleeping with or have a side chicks validate you. No, it doesn't. What validates you is you being able to go on that journey to say that I am now able to heal from my past and be a man and be there for my wife and my children. The moment you introduce third parties into the home, you weaken the foundation and the stability of your home. And you see, many of you men, the reason why you are not able to even adequately provide or make provision for the home is because of your trust issues. A lot of you men will not even go and get life insurance because you feel if you die and your wife inherits that money, she will marry another man and enjoy the money. You're a bastard. I've said it. You are a bastard if you think like that. You are a wicked and you are an evil man. So you want to die and go and let your wife suffer. And so what if she marries again? Why would you not be happy? See, she should be single and suffer. She was miserable while she was with you and you want her to be miserable after you die. Is that not the life of a bastard? A lot of you men, this is the thing that you are suffering with. Because of what you've been through, you are not able to act with love and compassion to the woman that you married and who bore you children. And if she didn't bear you any children, she's no less of a wife. Marriage is not marriage because of children. Marriage is marriage because you made vows with somebody and you made promises. There are some of you men that as we speak, you're making your brother next of kin and your wife is sitting there. You're a fool. If you know your wife isn't to be trusted, divorce her. And you're not telling your wife that your brother is next of kin or your children are next of kin. What nonsense? What nonsense? Look, me, I will keep it real 24/7. If you don't like it, log off. If you don't like it, unfollow me. I don't care. But me, I will tell you, I don't do political correctness. I say you are a bastard. Come and kill me. Only a wicked man would do a thing like that. Do you know how many widows I've spoken to who they found out that the next of kin is their kids and their kids are not even of age? So everything is locked up. And even though the woman is now solely responsible for caring for your children, she has no means to do that. Is that the life of a decent man? That's evil. And this is what I'm saying, that ladies, be wise, use common sense when you're getting married. Because if you think you're lonely now, wait until tonight, girl. Trust me, when the man is dead and gone, and you're left with his children, and you find out that the house was signed over within you better know what the financial standing, I don't know why I've gone in this direction, but make sure you know the financial status of your husband. Because if anything happens, and that's what I'm saying, some of you men, you're wicked. You're very, 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 very wicked. Women, if you're married to a wicked man, get out. Don't let any pastor lie to you. I God hate their ass. Like that's the only part they know of the Bible. God hates their ass. God hates wickedness. If you're married to a wicked man, especially if you have children, start to make your exit strategy. Because if he dies and leaves you, you, safe, you are dead. Next point. It's not too late to invest in your marriage. Like I said, if two of you are in agreement, then fine. And if all else fails, choose life. Marriage is to be enjoyed, not endured. Guys, I am done. This is the last in the series of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Episode, actually, not series. I don't want to give anyone palpitations. So I'm going to quickly read your comments and then I'm logging off because I have gone over quite a lot, but I thought I would just stay on and, conclude this. I thought some of those points were, quite important. Marlene Franks is much younger than me. Oh, bless you. Auntie Marlene. Seema, thank you for being on here. Let me go to Mariama says, talking about third party, why do some men or women involve third parties in their marital issues instead of addressing issues between themselves? Let me get onto this, and that's a very important point. I was talking about third parties in terms of people having extramarital affairs. But I will tell you this now. Not every couple is capable of sorting out issues between themselves. And that's why I have never said, don't involve third parties in your marriage, sort it out between yourselves. Actually, that's very bad advice. When you are incapable, or it is not possible for two people to sort out their issues between each other, it is crucial you go to a third party. The issue is which third party you go to. Go to a third party, preferably who is either neutral, doesn't know either one of you. Sometimes put your hands in your damn pocket and employ a coach. Get a counselor. If you can pay to go on family holidays, pay to have a person keep your family together so you can go on holiday. I have never advocated for people not involving third parties. Involve a third party, but be careful of the third party you involve. The only thing I will say is do not involve family members. Don't. Women, shut your mouth. Don't go to your mother and complain to your mother about your husband. It is foolishness. Don't do it. Husbands, do not go to your sister and complain unless you have a sister like me who is very unbiased and I can look past whatever shaggeries your wife may or may not be doing. But as a general rule, do not keep it in the family because when you have forgiven, they're still plotting the assassination of your wife or your husband. Don't do it. Yesterday, thank you for being on here. Keisha says, why do you think he can't talk to you? It could be a number of reasons. Some women are not easy to talk to and some men are not good at talking. Nana Krentua, thank you for being here. Nana K says, honest, transparent communication is key. Yes, it is. Anita says, really, no point marrying if one is repeatedly going to be unfaithful. Absolutely not. It's something I cannot stand. Mosbon says, I don't know which part is partly true. You need to let me know which part wasn't true. Evening says, well said, Dilys. Thank you very much. Nadi Mimi, thank you for being on here. Adra Prempes says, thank you for bringing up the issue if baggage the men come with, sometimes making women feel it is only women's issues. You see, the men have, people have come with this, how can I put it? They're playing psychology games, yeah? No, it's not only women that have issues. Let me tell you something. The men have more issues than the women. I am telling you, in my experience, the men have more issues because they don't know how to articulate their issues. And because they don't articulate their issues, they are not able to resolve them. Trust me, they have more issues than we do. Michelle Rosita, thank you for being on here. Nana Crenshaw Mill says, wow, well said, Dilys. Thank you. Elizabeth Kajiwe, thank you for being on here. Mosbon as well. Guys, if you haven't shared this video, please do. Tina France is so great. She shares it everywhere. I really do appreciate it. Akosia Chanwusu, thank you for being on here. Blessed said, you have a good singing voice too. Thank you. Multi-talented. God bless you. Ashanti Am says, Talking nothing but facts. That's what I try to do every Sunday. Michelle Clark says, thank you with fire. Denise Bruce says, bless you, my precious. Bless you too, sis. Evening Lies says, thank you very much, Dilys. Thank you so much. A lot of thank you here. God bless you. Oliver says, real talk, Dilys. You know, I'm going to keep it real 24/7. And he says, yep, she's a singer-songwriter too. Thank you so much. Mary Mensa, thank you for being on here, guys. I'm going to love you and leave you. Chanel says, thank you so much, Dilys. We love you and I love you too. And I hope to see you and Mum on the 22nd. Please do come down from Cardiff. It would be great to have you and so I can spoil you too, actually. Guys, I'm going to go now. Thank you so much for being on Speak with Dilys this evening. Next week, we're going to have another topic. Can you believe that we are halfway through season 4? So I have done, what is 13 times 3? 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45 of these. Wow, we've done 45 Speak with Dilys. So guys, well done. Hoppy G says, thank you for this great insight. Bless you. And guys, I'm going to go. It's late. I'm going to watch a movie called Mile 22. My brother sent it to me and said it's a wicked movie. And let me tell you, I do not do romantic movies at all. I myself, I'm romance. I'm so romantic. I don't need to watch a romantic movie. I just look at myself in the mirror and say, the end. So what I do is I like action movies. I like kick-ass movies. I like violence. So yeah, I'm like an action movie babe. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So guys, God bless you. Bye, Ronald. Thank you for watching. Bye, Mami, Adele, Marlene, Patience, Adjoa. Bye, people. Why are you laughing? It's true. I myself, I'm romance. I'm very, very romantic, you know. So guys, see you later. I'll see you next week. Do not forget to get tickets to the Speak with Dilys live show for the 22nd of April. Tickets are there, so you really do need to go get them. It's in London. It's in St. Paul's, beautiful hotel called the Leonardo Royal Hotel. Those of you that came to my book launch, it's the same venue. So you know, Anne-Marie Dryden, how you doing, sis? I need to call you. I know I owe you a phone call. You've got to forgive me. I'm begging on Facebook Live. I've been very naughty. We will speak. I will enjoy the movie. Guys, have a great evening. What else? I am looking for somebody to film the show. I'm getting some recommendations. So please, if you know somebody that can film my show and also somebody that can do the live streaming. So those of you that can't make it, who are in America, Barbados and all sorts of beautiful places, then I will be live streaming. That's the plan. Okay. I'm looking for sponsors. So if you are able to sponsor any part of the show, whether it's doing the video, whether it's paying for part of the venue, whatever, please do let me know. I am trying to get Speak with Dilys on TV. I have been approached to get that done, but you know, I'm still doing what I can do for myself as well. Gives me greater power. Okay, guys, love you and leave you. Have a wonderful week. God bless you all. And if you're married, make sure you preserve your marriage. You're very, very blessed to be married. And if it's not working, come and speak to Auntie Dilys and let's see how I can help you. So do send me an inbox message. My consultations are free, 30 minutes of my time via Zoom. Only serious applicants need apply. Guys, if you're looking for a hookup, I am not the chick for you. I can be very brutal in my inbox. Trust me, you don't want to go there because I want to be nice. All right. See you later, guys. God bless and have a wonderful week.